Hello, and thank you for watching this video where we'll answer some of the most common questions that we get asked about our new Fury200XF. What exactly is fluid feed? So today the common method is to dip the brush into a pot of acid and then go and clean the weld. Whereas what we have now is we have a pump integrated into the machine which delivers fluid directly to the brush. So instead of a standard wand like this, where you have to dip the brushes, you have a tube which comes from the machine down the center of the handle, down the center of the wand, right down, and it delivers the fluid directly to the brushes. So how does a pump system work? Well, on the front of the machine we have a pump mounted, and inside the machine we're reading how many amps are being delivered to the brushes. Now, depending on how many amps are being delivered to the brushes, the machine adjusts the speed of the motor. So if you only have 20 amps coming to the brushes, the pump's going to pump slower because you need less liquid. However, if you're cleaning at 200 amps, the machine will speed up the motor, thereby delivering more fluid to the brush. Here we've got a very easy to service peristaltic pump which is mounted externally on the machine. And the advantage of using a peristaltic pump is it will never burn out, because even if the system runs dry, you don't have any risk of the motor getting too warm and burning out. So does using a pump mean that I use more liquid? The answer is no. Now that's because if you're using the traditional method where you take the handle with the brushes and you dip that into the acid, between dipping into the acid pot and coming over to the workpiece, you drip the acid and all the acid is simply wasted. However, with a pump system, all the acid is delivered down a tube, down the center of the wand, directly to the brushes. And that means that every single bit of acid is used at the brush tips. There's no wastage. So for that reason, you actually use less acid than traditional methods. Another common question that we get asked is, does this mean I use more brushes? Well, it's a little difficult one to answer because everyone uses the machine differently and everything. But from what we've experienced with existing customers or customers that are now using this system is you get more usage from the same brush. Now that's for the reason that the liquid is delivered to the back of the brush, which ensures the brush always stays wet. You risk sometimes an operator just dipping just the tips of the brush, and that means that the whole brush doesn't cool down or the back of the brush stays dry and thereby burns faster. However, with this system we've always got liquid to the brushes, so that means they're always wet and they're constantly cooled down by the liquid coming into the back of the brush. So the next question is, can I clean faster with a pump system? Well, the answer is yes, and that's because, number one, using the traditional method of dipping the brush, you have that time away from the weld. So you're cleaning, you have to come away to dip the brush and come back. That time of dipping the brush is completely eliminated. So there you have some time savings. But secondly, with a fluid pump system, you have a much more continuous temperature at the brush tip. And that's because you're not dipping the brush into cold liquid and then coming back, heating it up, and dipping the brush into cold liquid again. You have a much more constant temperature because the acid is continuously delivered to the back of the brush. And that means that the acid coming out is heated up before it reaches the surface because it has to pass the hot brush, but then it also means that the cold liquid cools down the brush. So for that reason, you have the ability to speed up cleaning. So maybe you're watching this video and you've already got a Fury100 or a Fury200 machine, and I guess your question is going to be, can I use the same cables or the same brushes? Well, not entirely. For starters, as we've already seen, the wand is different, and that's because we've got a hole down the center for the tube. That also means that the handle is different because the handle comes with the power and the tube from the machine. So for that reason, the work handle is a different item to a standard Fury machine. The earth clamp is the same, and the brushes are the same. Now that was very important for us to design that because for customers like you that already have a Fury machine and you want a Fury200XF, you don't want to have the issue of stocking two brushes. So here we have, you can see here that we've got the same brushes on both. Maybe you're watching this video as a bit skeptical of a pump system for your weld cleaning machine, because yes, if not designed correctly, you can have problem with the acid getting inside the machine and damaging the electronics, for example. Well, we've changed that with this machine. With this machine, it means that no acid comes inside the machine at all. And as we showed briefly earlier, the pump is easily serviceable, and besides that, the pump is outside the machine, so you don't even have to open the machine to check if the pump is working okay. This part here can be easily replaced. This is a flexible tube in the peristaltic pump, and this is a spare part, so if you need to replace the pump head, you just buy and unclip the old one, clip the new one in, you're good to go. And besides that, the acid is out of the machine. So you can see on the machine that we've got a 1 litre holder, and the tubes are all out of the machine, so there's no damage to the electronics because the acid is out of the machine and the electronics are inside the machine. How about I show you how the machine works? Through the control panel here we can select the machine settings, so that's the cleaning settings, how many amps, and we can also adjust all the pump settings, so the speed of the pump and how much fluid should be delivered. Here we have the earth clamp, and here we have the handle connected. There's a 1 litre holder of the acid here, and then the acid comes down together with the power down to the brush. Here we have the handle, and the tube comes out and into the back of the handle, down the centre, right down to the brush tips here. And here we have our twist rod, where you can adjust the length of the brush.